Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to be checking out A Fan with Too Much Time, Star Wars with Warhammer 40K. This is episode 14. You are on the fastest route. And I don't know why, but the second I hear that, I think I should make some kind of reference to how the cake is a lie. And I don't know why, because that's not what's being referenced here. I don't think so. I've been wrong before. That'd be weird. Not me being wrong, just if it was right for some reason. More importantly, I just want to see what happens next, man, because last hurrah was a massive cliffhanger, and every freaking person in the comment is going, get used to it. Okay, not everyone, just so many that it's close enough that I don't actually feel bad saying that. Yeah. So we're going to jump right in, see where this goes, and probably end the stream going, why? Because, like, last time. Yeah. Otherwise, you guys know the deal. There's a link below to the original video. Hit it up. It's Van. He's a damn good writer. His voice acting is good. His editing is good. Just hit him up already, please. And if you haven't already, do it again. If you like this, subscribe, and let's get started. Oh, interesting music selection in the background. It's almost like a techno vibe, but it sounds like a strum instrument short of that. Star Wars was Warhammer 40K. Oh, we're doing the all black word. Nice. It's kind of lightening as it went, too. Not holding it too long. Nice. Episode 14. None of the crazy stuff. You are on the fastest route. I like how it's cut down. It's coming in fast. And it's fading out at reasonably fast time. Not too long, not too short.
He was on his 9th attempt and
I know it's weird, but considering everything previous to this had really drawn out title screens and they're just like individual letters dropping in. That's perfectly timed. It wasn't over the top. That was so damn clean. I love it. I'm only highly getting up because honestly, his writing's fine. And that transition was perfectly done. It was good.
Things inside the besieged Chimera had gone from bad.
Oh, we're back to the guards.
Much worse. No matter what sequence Farnus could think of, no matter what code the...
Farnus? By any chance is his first name Siegfried? No brother named Tristan by chance? I know there's not a single person watching this who's going to get that reference, but goddamn does it make me smile.
Guardsmen contrived nothing was working, and was it any wonder? Farnus didn't know so much as how many numbers the code required, the input panel accepting as many digits as he typed into it, leaving him without any reference to how long the sequence of numbers should even be. And while he sat there, guessing for their lives, his squad was running out of time. The vehicle rocked as the toy soldiers outside began hitting back in a big way. And if not for Gala's almost precognitive skill inside the heavy bolter turret, it was all but a given that the Chimera would have already been
we're back to the group
reduced to cinders and searing steel. Oh, please. Holy Emperor of Mankind, please guide my hand.
Praying gonna work?
He prayed as he closed his eyes, dialing random numbers into the pad, and then biting his lips such that it bled, jabbing the enter key. This time, the same rejection notice that had presented itself each instance before did not appear, and a new message took its place. Farnus felt lightheaded, hands...
Just to give you an idea, the odds of getting right on an alphanumeric pad, let alone if he has a keyboard or anything else crazy the Mechanicum set up, and considering the age, I might be using Mechanicum correctly as opposed to Mechanicus, and I don't know, because they all have some really old shit. I don't know. But either way, it could be huge. And the odds are the equivalent of no. And this is actually really easy to break for anyone who's a member of the Mechanicus, but it's a good way to get everyone else to GTFO. So... yeah, honestly, you can knock this down to the machine spirit being a real thing to let him in. Because he was praying, and there's always that weird thing where they kind of believe they have machine spirits, and there's enough people who do it. Maybe they do, and they may or may not be AI. Yeah, honestly, it's probably easier to believe that the machine spirit actually let him in, as opposed to he got the right combination. Because that's... you don't do that. You need supercomputers to do that for a reason. Because while it could be easy for them, we ain't supercomputers.
Hands tingling as he grasped the wheel before him and made sure his feet were against the correct pedals,
that's one thing,
waiting for the controls to unlock as his eyes focused on the new message.
By the laws of logic, this Chimera platform is declared locked and is hereby inaccessible until...
never mind. He literally tried too long to unlock it and he got locked out. That burns.
Such a time as the proper rites of security reset may be preformed.
Oh no.
Turn thyself in for punishment. Thy mind is unworthy of thine access.
The young guardsman felt all the blood drain out of his face, his grip slackening around the wheel of the vehicle. He reached out with a numb hand, pressing a cold finger against the steel keys of the input pad. There was no response. The message remaining unchanged.
He literally just
legs
condemned
that
them
felt
to death.
utterly devoid of strength, he pressed against the pedals and found them locked. So that was it then. At first, he simply went limp, slumping into his seat and wishing he could will himself to die right there and then and spare the replicate the shots they'd use. But then, a rage filled him, a defiance, a denial of the hand dealt to him. He gripped the wheel before him and grit his teeth, raising his heavy booted foot up from the pedals and aiming it at the display. "Thrown damned piece of treacherous!" He started to yell, spittle.
Please, fan. I know it's not going to happen, but I just want to pretend for a few seconds that percussive maintenance is going to work. Oh, as someone who has tried it multiple times, and I mean, on different PCs, it would be a miracle if it did. Also, sometimes it did actually work, but that was like Nintendo 64, so that doesn't count.
Flying from his lips when suddenly something happened that stopped not only him but froze everyone in the vehicle, with the exception of Gala, who was far too enthralled in her bloody work to notice the change.
Gala?
The back door, the one that had been locked before, suddenly chimed and swung down and open.
Oh, is it Magus
The
entering?
sound and smell of the battle outside flooded the cabin of the APC, and in with it came a willowy, ethereal figure dressed in red robes.
Nope, that would be it.
Regin screamed, falling away from the wall-mounted lasgun he had been manning, and, drawing a pistol, riddling the figure with lances of red light.
Wait, red robes? I was assuming it was a Martian contingent because red, but is it someone else?
8 shots passed into and through the figure in red before Janice, who had been standing over Regin, had the good sense to kick his comrade in the face, knocking him out cold.
Oh, damn.
The red-robed figure moved forward without pause or hesitance, even as it was struck by the lethal rays of light. The robe burned and smoldered, and then fell away completely, revealing that it was not a robe at all, but a portion of a Mechanicus banner. And the figure in question was barely that at all, no more than a floating head, or more accurately, a servo skull.
Oh my god! This is why people in the last video were talking like, yeah, you're gonna find out why servo skulls are so useless, or so useful. Because they literally just did they just draped a sheet over it and played the, ooh, I'm a ghost. See, there's something you should shoot out here. It's the trick they do in all of the 70s and 80s things like, hey, shoot this thing, instead of us. And it worked. That's brilliant. It's such a silly, easy fix, but they got it. And I'm assuming if they're doing this, then someone else is remote controlling it and they have a way in. Okay, yeah, servo skull for the win. And because they're shooting the body, which is big and billowy, they're not doing anything because it's just empty air. Oh, dude.
The skull hovered between the stunned guardsmen, paying them no mind at all as it made its way into the driver's seat area.
Granger, get that thrown damn door shut! Janice, get back on those guns!
One hell of a voice.
Yelled, turning back to continue using his
definitely
own weapon as his men heeded him a moment later. Meanwhile, the skull plopped itself down protectively over the input panel, and Farnes, who had frozen in place as this all happened, jumped with a start and lowered his leg back down to the pedals hastily. Sorry, I didn't mean it, he told the skull. It ignored him, settling itself over the panel and locking itself in place with several pincer-like claws.
I wonder who's controlling it.
All the while, wires and mechadendrites slithered out from around the neck of the skull, finding various inputs around the panel and causing its obscured screen to go blank. Farnes jumped for a second time as the engines of the Chimera roared to life beneath him, and his squad gave a beleaguered cheer. He hesitated for only a moment before reaching to the lever next to him and jerking it into proper gear, the machine cranking and
Servo
thumping in response.
for the win.
Omnissiah, forgive me, he said as the Auspex displays blossomed to life around him.
Oh.
But I'm taking credit for that. He stomped on the accelerator and grit his teeth as the already...
I love this. He's like, oh, look at that Ruby. I was like, oh, because you hit it, because you were swearing at it, because you're just using it without being able to do the rights. No, because you're taking credit from a servo skull. And if it's someone controlling it, they might ignore you because it's annoying. Or if it's just an auto function program, in which case, goddamn, that's useful.
Smoking vehicle lurched forward in a sudden rush, almost kicking from the ground as it tore onto the base's main road. The base in question was a mess of fighting and chaos, but the Imperium was definitely on the defense, and a receding one at that.
Oh,
Farnes felt cold sweat sting his eyes. Where was he even supposed to go?
Turn
Biggest
left
clump
at
of
the
enemies to
next
run over?
intersection.
Said the servo
Whoa,
skull.
whoa, whoa,
Supposed to
whoa.
go.
Turn left at the next intersection.
Oh. Yeah, fan. It sounds like he did actually get AI-generated voice for the servo skull. I couldn't tell if it was someone else's voice or it's completely AI-generated, but it's such a level tone. I'm assuming it is probably AI-generated. Interesting choice, considering Mechanicus. Anywhere else, but for this one, that makes a lot of sense.
Said the servo skull, speaking in an oddly pleasant, synthesized voice. Farnes marveled at the skull before reorienting on the road, hauling the wheel sharply as he came up on the intersection. Left turn it is then, he yelled to his navigator.
Oh, dude.
The Chimera swung, almost tilting up to one side as it made the maneuver, narrowly avoiding three chasing missiles from heavier troops who had noticed the APC's frantic escape attempt. 3, but not the 4th. The Chimera was kicked hard enough to nearly topple over itself, skidding across the pavement like an ice hawk disc.
Damn.
For a moment, Farnes feared they would be sent flying over the edge of the platform, doomed to fall for nearly 10 minutes before hitting the lower levels of...
10 minutes! To give you an idea, I'm going to just do a quick Google search of how long it takes you to fall from the upper atmosphere to Earth. Just going to go to the good old Giggler machine. That is DuckDuckGo. Yeah, sure, that works. And it says I have to prove it on a robot. We're not going to do that. How long does it take to fall from the atmosphere to Earth? And it... Okay, I probably should say time. How much time? Oh, that they showed me the math. Oh, God, why did they have to show me the math? Ah. How long does it take a human to fall 10 miles in Earth's atmosphere? I would say anywhere from 58 seconds to... well, that's a weird bit of math. Oh. Apparently NASA answered that. What do you know? Yeah, they pulled up the entire thing. And yeah, I know my site, it's really weird. It's not zooming in, but yeah, NASA... Sure. Basically, though, 10 minutes is a very long time. Just how high up are they? Are they even technically even in the atmosphere anymore? This is either an absolutely massive planet with a massive atmosphere, or there's just something wonky with it. Granted, I'm comparing it to Earth standards, so maybe this is just a really low gravity, high gas percentage rocky body that has a massive atmosphere that would take 10 minutes to fall down. That's huge. I mean, I knew they were high up. I was thinking like it would be a 30-minute fall to a minute fall. 10 minutes is significant. That's like a skydiving trip in its own right.
The hive, but his frantic efforts bore fruit as the Chimera's tracks finally touched down for long enough to give him traction.
Keep right at the next bend.
Said the servo skull.
Oh.
That's not going to be easy.
You're on the fastest route. Oh my God, he literally has a GPS unit from the Imperium. And that's why the voices and And the joke is probably it's not going to go where he wants to go, is it?
seat! Farnes shouted at it as he spun the wheel. Meanwhile, in the back of the Chimera's cabin, Kalak, Janice, and Granger were busy dealing with the new 6-foot gash the rocket had created in their vehicle. The burning APC was already starting to peel sheets of its own armor from the persistent cascade of blaster fire which assailed it. The inside of the cabin becoming swelteringly hot as the hull redistributed the plasmic heat of the enemy weapons.
Oh.
With this latest
That's actually a really good way
the
of doing
clones
that.
could now bypass the
Rather
failing
heated
armor
dispersion
completely,
faster.
and several were attempting just that, lobbing grenades and hails of blaster fire into the breach. Gala's strafing lines of death kept them from getting too comfortable or accurate, but even so, it was all the other
Only
three
so much
could
you can do.
to cluster near the mouth of the breach and fend off their attackers, tossing back grenades and returning fire. Back in the driver's seat, Farnes was crushing the accelerator pedal into the floor of the Chimera, knuckles white on the wheel as he came to gradually realize that, instead of driving out of the besieged base, he was being directed further in.
Make a left turn at the next intersection, and your destination will be directly ahead.
Said the skeletal navigator. Burning throne, you better be sure about.
Oh, it's sure. I'm assuming this is the original destination before someone rerouted them, though. Or maybe something else. It really does depend who is controlling that skull. I'm actually curious about that.
This! He yelled as he hauled on the wheel.
Oh,
skidding
it's
the
sure.
Chimera
You
to one
probably
side
wouldn't be,
and
though.
almost flipping the APC altogether as he made the final bend. Before him, Farnes could see only a distant but rapidly approaching dead end in the form of a massive red wall. The wall of a Mechanicus shrine or temple of some sort.
Oh.
The building had 4 sides, a flat top, and it tapered almost pyramid-like near the top.
I guess Mechanicus
Upon it was
skull,
the
or Servo
half-bone,
skull would do that.
half-mechanical skull that was the symbol of the Church of the Machine God, and all over its pitted red hull were fires and flaws born from the battle raging around them.
Oh.
Increase speed. You are now on the fastest route to your destination.
Oh my god.
What? Wait! You know that we're not trying to die, right?
Details.
Farnes
Your
said,
spare
foot
parts.
still glued to the accelerator.
Acknowledged. Maintain course. You are now on the fastest route to your destination.
Where are they?
The young
Are they being
guardsman
told to
grit
ram
his
something?
teeth until he was sure they would crack. His hands were freezing, his guts were dancing in his body, his fears surging in him like a current of weakness which struggled to break him from the inside. His faith flailed against it, but it was proving less and less effective as the temple's walls grew closer and closer.
They're just running right into the building
He
wall,
wanted
aren't
to
they?
close his eyes,
Where's the door
but
gonna
knew
open up?
doing so would be the same as diverting his path. Can I slow down now? He yelled.
Negative. Maintain course. You are on the fastest route to your destination.
The wall was swallowing his vision
actually just
now,
got dragged
so
right into it?
large in his view that he could see little else. Don't close your eyes, he ordered himself. Don't close your eyes.
If you know
Don't
a
close
crash is
your
coming,
eyes.
it's actually hard. Did they crash? Not far away. They're really just... I guess it was a defective servo skull.
Nerva released a silent howl of pain into the new sphere, finding herself isolated and alone. She wished she
What?
could jump out from her physical body and into the data currents of the new sphere
Ugh,
itself
the
to
arm
escape the
pieces.
certain death and failure which faced her now. But
Oh.
all she could do was mute the pain receptors in her left arm as the limb, both burnt and seizing from the blue energy bolt which had struck her,
A good choice
continued
of art,
to
then.
convulse, tearing her muscles apart, both the mechanical and the organic.
Ew.
She managed to stay on her feet, spinning to face the clones who had caught up to her in the corridor. 3 of them were charging down towards her, blasting all the while.
Oh, they're bringing
2
her
more blue
help.
shots sailed past before she was able to orient her former master's eradication ray gun down the hallway with her remaining arm.
Goddamn.
The shot was imprecise, but it barely needed precision. The satellite dish which served as the nozzle of the weapon erupting in a cascade of orange and red light. The light seemed like any other, save that it reddened the walls where it touched steel, and it shone straight through the clones, first blackening their armor before
Oh, it's
blowing
literally a
them
radiation
away
gun.
silently like collapsing ash sculptures struck by a persistent breeze. Nerva sighed and sagged
Goddamn.
under its weight, groaning aloud at the sound of the weapon's warning chime. She had no idea if that was serious or merely the incessant mewling of the gun's grieving machine spirit. She hoped, for her sake, that it was the latter.
Probably
Hefting
not.
the gun and finding that her now numb and useless left arm was finally settling down, its flailing now reduced to errant twitching.
Okay, I have no idea where Fan found this, but I'm pretty sure this is a Titan factory. Holy shit. I didn't even know they had art of that. Because I think that's a Warhound over there, and you have maybe a Reaver or a Warlord in the background. Oh, dude, that's so cool.
She continued her journey into the central bay. It wasn't long before the hallway she was traversing led out into a wide, open area. At a glance, she could see that it had not been spared, flames and damage apparent in the walls and ceiling. But, to her relief, she saw that the ultra-lift platforms used to bring this super heavy vehicles up from the below-ground maintenance shrines were still visibly intact.
Oh. So she survived long enough for what looks like a clone assault on a very important facility that they probably didn't realize how important it was. And when the Mechanicus says super heavy, there's very few things they mean. And I mean, it could be tanks. But considering the image, I'm going to get something a little more shooty and taller. And bipedal.
Less pleasingly, she could also see that the room and lifts had been secured by no less than 8 of the enemy replique soldiers.
Only 8?
Nerva firmed
yeah.
her lips, hefting
So that's what she's doing. She's bringing them here to help unlock the freaking Titans, man.
her gun to aim at the clones, even as the two seemed to notice her,
dude.
signaling in her direction towards the others. This time, she fired first, but instead of unleashing another devastating torrent of deadly light, the weapon released another chime. Nerva blinked and pulled the trigger again, eliciting another useless chime. The weapons of her enemies, however, were far less musical and far more lethal. She screamed her all-too-human panic into the silence of the noosphere as she tossed the useless weapon aside and dove
Throw it at
behind
them, hope
a
it blows
large
up.
block of stacked crates. She briefly considered reconnecting the nerves to her left arm, but dismissed the idea almost instantly. The last thing she needed right now was to be flooded with agony, even if it meant the loss of her arm. Nerva knew she needed her mind much more, and needed it as unclouded as possible to accomplish her goals.
That's my goals.
Those goals
or even just attack rates in
currently
general.
were mostly about survival, which was proving less and less likely with every passing moment. She had only a single deployable monoblade left, a 10-inch length which she could protrude from the centermost knuckle of her right hand. She looked
knife.
at it then, deploying the black steel, almost laughing at how pathetically inadequate the weapon was.
How the hell is she going to survive this one, other than people coming
And yet, she had not the means to create or produce anything better, and so, with lethal resignation, she began to crouch, preparing to advance. Just then, 3 of the clones appeared, running around her cover and surrounding her, guns out. She felt her whole body become as cold as steel. She didn't even try to rise as the clones began to pull the trigger.
See, initially I was thinking that the Servo skull was rerouting the guards based on her input, and we just haven't got to that point yet. But it sounds like someone else is controlling it beyond just her. So there's actually someone organizing the battle on the Imperial side in a very direct way through that Servo skull.
On their blaster rifles. That was that then. As soon as this new resignation settled over her, it was shattered, along with the wall beside her, with a bone-shattering crash. A chimera, burning and coming apart,
They just did a
burst
Kool-Aid
through
Man.
the metal wall in a spray of metal and bolt shells, firing even as it careened into the 3 clones who had cornered her. The vehicle swiveled and spun, terminating its erratic journey when it crashed into a partially disassembled Newman Rust battle tank. The remaining clones reacted quickly, but most of them were not quick enough, the death-spitting turret at the top of the burning vehicle spinning to face them, blowing troopers apart with sustained fire and driving those that remained into the hallways for cover. Nerva felt almost weak, numbing more and more
Get in the
of her
hole,
emotion
quickly.
and nerve receptors. Now was no time to gawk or even praise her luck. a point that was driven home as several more clones began flying into the building, carried aloft by their jetpacks.
Of course, there's more flying
These
ones.
two
Yeah.
were countered, however, as the back of the Chimera fell open and a squad of 4 Imperial soldiers charged out,
there's
one
only
of them
4 of them
bearing an
left. They got shot
unconscious
down pretty
comrade
hard.
over one broad shoulder. They opened fire into the breach, striking the clones there and forcing them back. As they did, a familiar skull, Bofin 337, came zipping out after them, heading
Bofin?
straight towards her. In an instant, Nerva understood that her salvation had not come from sheer chaotic chance, and, despite herself, allowed a display of human affection as the skull approached her. Smiling in spite of her condition,
How much intelligence did that skull retain? Like dog level, or? Because if that's not a human, that's an AI. And that is implications for how Fan is going to be treating AI here, and that is terrifying.
she wrapped her working arm around the servitor and pulled it close. "Bless you, Bofin. You are a seraph of the machine god himself," she praised, speaking her thoughts to the skull over their new spheric connection. The
She didn't
device
say it
sent
out
back
loud.
several purrs and chirps of approval, recognizing its task as complete. She had only a moment more before a grizzled, sweating sergeant stomped up to where she was kneeling. He hefted a smoking las rifle, its barrel glowing and stinking of ozone. The man's eyes were bloodshot,
gun.
and Bofin's auspic scans showed that he had a dangerously low amount of melatonin in his body, though his cortisol levels were abnormally high, even for the situation.
That's an interesting way to put it. Also, wow, really fast diagnosis there. But yeah, I was going to make a joke about, hey, give her a flashlight. I was like, I wonder how often someone says, light him up. It actually makes more sense if you're playing a guard army. Yeah.
The man looked down at her with an unkind grin.
Well, Tech Priest, I'm guessing you called for help.
Sort of. Okay, on the one hand, that entire thing was just a servo skull taking action autonomously to go and save its master and or friend. Okay. I know it's running on wetware, but either that's a person who retained a lot more of their memory than they should have, and that's creepy in its own right, or like I thought they did, and these are mostly just actual skulls and nothing else with straight mechanical components inside of it, and the skull's decorative as a way to honor people. In which case, that's a machine spirit. I mean, we do know in canon 40K, they interact with AIs without realizing it in every fucking ship, potentially. Because they don't realize they have AIs, so they don't think to question how really bad that could be. Yeah, it's been covered in a few short stories. Luton does a bunch of coverage of that as well, so just check out his video if you want more idea what I'm talking about. But apparently fans playing into that, hey, it's definitely not an AI aspect way harder than I was expecting. So that might come to nothing. It's a really damn cool scene of the AI freaking servo skull being badass to help out and, you know, has its own big damn heroes moment by dragging in the beleaguered sergeant and his team and just like, hey, I'm going to save you to save her and fuck everyone else. Also, they're doing it in the launch bay of what probably is a Knight or Titan facility. You want to change a fight? Drop a few Knights and a Titan in there. I'm assuming Titan be super heavy, and also because the background images were Reavers and Warhounds. So it can go Knight, it can go Titan. One is better than the other, but both are going to be a giant pile of what the fuck are we looking at from the Star Wars side, and I really want that to be the case. Basically what I'm saying is I really like this. If you haven't already, there's a link below to the original video. Hit it up. And if you like this, subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.